as according to Shams Charania, he might be returning pretty soon. In fact, maybe in the next 24 hours. And yes, by return, I do mean coming back to LA. Not coming back from Slovenia to Madrid, Spain, where he is currently undergoing treatment. I imagine that he still is yet today. But from Madrid, Spain, back to Los Angeles. However, that doesn't mean that he's coming back to be cleared to play. He will be coming back to be reevaluated by their team doctors and simply by their team in general. Will that mean that he might get a more optimistic outlook? Maybe. Hopefully, and I do think that he will. Now will that go from the 4 to 6 week timeline down to a 2 to 3 week timeline where he would be at entering round 1 of the NBA playoffs? Who knows? Probably a bit too optimistic, but here's a full quote from Shams Charania.
But Luka Doncic, he spent the last week in Spain, from my understanding, the majority of time in Spain. He underwent multiple injection treatments in that hamstring to see if can he promote quick healing, can he promote an expedited return in a lot of ways for him to be back. My understanding is he'll be back in the States on Tuesday, and then they're going to reevaluate him. Austin Reaves, he's out for majority of this first round series. Most likely, probably the earliest for him is going to be that first week of May. So they have a tall task now facing Houston in this first round.
Like I said, Luka will be back in LA pretty soon. Literally by tomorrow probably. Barring any kind of setback or anything else that he needs to do over there, treatment or whatever else related it might be, he will be back with the team this week. Like I talked about during my latest video, with how kind of quick his first treatment went, I didn't think that phase 2 would take that long, and apparently it doesn't. Completing it in roughly 2 to 3 days, I imagine that he came back from Slovenia on Saturday or maybe early on Sunday, and then completed the phase 2 part of his treatment, or maybe still is yet again today, and then will immediately be flying back to Los Angeles to be coming back to the team. And while we still don't have an official confirmation on the treatment that he got, or again is currently getting, reports tend to think and speculation tends to be that it's stem cell treatment that he can get more easily and more accessible over there compared to over here in the United States. That would probably be the best bet. Regardless, he is doing that and hopefully it will help him out. I mean, if he can't get it there, then he probably can't get it anywhere else. And for a guy like Luka Doncic, how determined he is to make it back, I imagine that he is finding every possible pathway to accelerate that timeline. Again, from roughly 4 to 6 weeks, the initial recovery timeline, hopefully trimming that down to at least 3 to 4, or maybe 4 to 5 at the bare minimum, which at that point would give him a fighting chance to make it back for the postseason. And then for the second part of that, or I guess kind of the brief mention, Austin Reaves, Shams making it sound like he probably won't make it back for the first round, that he's more of a long shot compared to Luka, not simply from Luka getting alternative treatment in Europe, but probably from it being a little bit worse of an injury. Austin dealing with a strained oblique, also a grade 2 strain, which is a partial tear if you're not aware. That's a bit more involved and really hard to avoid, simply with any kind of body movement in general. For Luka, a strained hamstring is definitely not fun, but compared to playing on the court, compared to simply walking around and doing daily activities, it doesn't hamper you that much. Unlike for Austin with a strained oblique, it does hamper him. Simply moving, turning, twisting, walking, that will all be affected, and he definitely will feel with a strained oblique. At that point, you're pretty much having a partial tear to your core, and if you're not aware, your core controls pretty much every bodily function. So for Austin, this is definitely a tough one to come back from, not simply to play through, but simply to rehab as well. So at that point, probably pretty doubtful that he makes it back for round 1. Again, I imagine that he wants to and will be pushing to, but it's going to be tougher for him compared to Luka Doncic. And no, for those asking and wondering if he went with Luka Doncic to Spain, no, he did not. There is some false report or some false segregation that claimed he did, but he did not go to Spain. Maybe he should have, or I guess maybe it could have been a fun duo trip together, but he did not go to Spain, he did not go to Europe, he stayed with the team and did stay in Los Angeles to do treatment here. Regardless, that's the update with both Austin and Luka Doncic. Definitely a positive update for Luka, but maybe not a positive update for Austin. Kind of an update that we already knew. Still trying to be optimistic with him, but probably not looking too good for round 1 with Austin Reaves. For him to come back, they will have to make it to the second round. But for Luka Doncic, I'm staying optimistic that he might be able to return, and definitely will be trying to push for a return by at least Game 4. I don't expect him to come back or be clear to come back in any capacity by Game 1 or 2, maybe Game 3, but that's a bit of a long shot. That would be during late next week, and at that point, he would be roughly 3 weeks removed from the grade 2 left hamstring strain, so probably not by that point, but maybe by Game 4, or definitely by Game 5. So what we're looking at here is that LeBron and the current Lakers have to win at least one game for Luka Doncic to realistically make it back, and to realistically have a chance to win as well. I mean, keep in mind here, even if Luka does make it back, he probably will be on a minute restriction, likely not playing any more than 25 to 30 minutes per game. At that point, they're going to have to stretch him throughout the game, maybe 8 minutes during the first quarter, maybe 15 in total during the first half, then another 15-ish during the second half. They're going to have to be careful. They can't push him too hard. They're not going to be given a full clearance for no restriction at all with him. At least I really doubt they will be. Again, Luka will be pushing for it. Definitely will come back as quickly as he can and as quickly as they let him back on the court, but it likely will come with a minute restriction. Now I know we're talking about the postseason here and a winner-go-home scenario, but they're not going to be lenient with him. If he's going to come back, there will be a restriction. Heck, even for a team like Golden State, in an elimination game in the play-in tournament, Steph Curry has a minute restriction. So for Luka, I think he will push to make it back. I even think that yes, he will make it back, but keep in mind that there likely will be a restriction with it. So at that point, it will be a bit tough. And following up on the Luka Doncic update, if he will in fact be back by roughly Game 3 or 4 at the earliest, what does that mean for their backcourt, and who's going to need to step up? After all, they've just signed Nick Smith, upgraded him from a 2-way contract to then a 15-man roster spot, which did make him playoff eligible. If you're not aware for why they did that or why they had to do that, that's pretty much it. To make him playoff eligible, and to give them another guard and another ball handler within their rotation, signaling that yes, they will in fact be without both Luka and Austin to start round 1, as we pretty much all knew. So, with that in mind here, what do they have to work with? Well, they obviously have LeBron. He's going to be the point guard, the de facto first option, the de facto playmaker for their team. After that, they got both Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard, both of which are very likely going to start for their team. I think they kind of hinted at the starting lineup last night, playing the combination of Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, LeBron, DeAndre Ayton, and Rui Hachimura. That's probably the combination they go with again, giving them a good balance of scoring with LeBron, scoring also with Luke Kennard and Rui, but also some ball handling help with both Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard, and not to mention playmaking help too, as that will be coming with Luke Kennard, not just LeBron. I briefly talked about this last night, but Luke Kennard has quietly been a much better playmaker than expected, and given credit for it too. I mean, in the 3 games after Luka got hurt, Luke Kennard had 28 assists in only 3 games, and not to mention only 4 turnovers. That's nearly a 7 assists, 2 turnover ratio. Absolutely insane. And not to mention very unexpected. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching, and have a great day or night